Hi, welcome to the Wolf Beat. My name is Joy Hamilton. I am your host. Today we have representatives of the Watopmin Intertribal Powwow. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about the powwow itself?
Well, let my sister start off because she manages a lot of the big stuff that pulls us all together. So I'll let my sister Angel explain.
Okay, we initially got started with my brother John and I started talking about having an event that would, memorialize our mom and her experiences and the kind of life she came from in Idaho. She was Nez Perce from Osaka, Idaho. So we started talking about putting on an event that would, help us to honor her and share the culture that she brought to the Saanich people. And we thought the best way to do that would be to have a powwow because that was part of the culture she came from. Mm-hmm. And so that started probably in the early 90s. And now we're coming upon the 28th annual event for the Intertribal Powwow.
So what is your role in the powwow?
When I first started, we were all singing. Maz was singing, I was singing, John was singing. And then when we started to create everything that had to be done, that had to take place at a powwow, I was one of the organizers, so I had a lot of duties of writing letters to help us raise funds, just networking with people in the community to let them know what was going to be coming about and the kind of a crowd that we would be bringing to the local territory. And just doing all that I can to try and find the funding that we needed because we've never been a corporate sponsored event. We just wing it every year. So, but my role was in mainly getting the funds to have the event happen.
Okay.
Yep.
And yourself, Maz?
Well, she still does that today, and one of the things that I get involved with is the lead singer and a traditional dancer as well. So one of the main roles I have at times is when people are going to have a ceremony at our powwow. There may be a memorial or someone coming out new as a dancer, or maybe even someone moving up in category, or maybe handing down names is what happens in some of our events. And our event started, as Angel said, 29 years ago, but we were taught by our late mother. She said, you practice your father's culture first before you pick up hers. So, and that's what we did. A lot of us are involved with the Longhouse and other ceremonies that go along with the Coast Salish culture. The powwow is a different style of dancing from what we have here in Coast Salish, and Coast Salish is mostly during the winter time, and powwows, they can go on all year round, all through Canada and the US. And we've traveled quite some distance to get some of these powwows. We've gone all over the place with our late brother John, Angel, and some of our other singers that are passed on already too. That there's so many of us, grasping onto what we should know as part of our mother's culture. And because such of how life's changed with a lot of the younger ones, where they're not so interested in grasping onto it right away. So this is what we're trying to do with our younger ones now, is to get them to pay more attention to how it is organized right from ground zero. And it takes a lot of work. I know how much footwork my sister Angel does, raising funds, and it takes a big, huge effort, teamwork to do it. It gets frustrating, but we always do it. So
I just want to get back to a little bit of the history of the powwow, of your powwow. You were talking about your mother. And
Our mother was Watantmai, and that was the name we originally started out with, our intertribal powwow being named that. And her name came from the Nez Perce Nation better known by them as the Nimi Poo. And so she, when she came to Canada, she was just a young girl and started having babies early in life. We are 3 of 12. Yeah, so there were 7 boys and 5 girls, and now there's only 6 of us left. But we do all that we can, you know, to get this event happening. But it was our mother's traditions. When she came to Canada and married our dad, she left behind all of her traditions and her practices. And it wasn't until our dad passed away, I was 7 and Virgil was only 6, and we started going home with her to Idaho to visit her family, and we went to Pow Wow down there. I thought everybody in the family went. I thought all the older brothers and sisters, I was like, wow, they had all this fun all these years, and I'm just getting to know it, but nobody even went. You know, she literally engulfed her life in the Coast Salish traditions, because that was our dad's way. And so she had to learn Senchothan and Hulkaminam. She had to learn 2 languages to be able to live here. She had to learn how to cook in the Coast Salish way and the type of foods we had here, because they didn't have seafood in Idaho. You know, they couldn't just go to some beach and dig clams and go fishing salmon there. But they do now, like they have a lot of really awesome rivers down there where they get their food from. But she came here and lived the life of the Coast Salish. And then it wasn't until our dad passed that she started introducing us to her way of life and her cultures and her practices. And that was how we got started.
So what year was that?
Gosh, let's see, I was only 7.
When she originally came here?
1933.
Oh.
1933. And then she had our oldest brother Tom just before her 15th birthday. And then there was like several in a row, and then there was like a 7-year gap between the older group and the younger group. And there was 5 of us in the younger group. There was a 7-year difference in the gap between all of us. But yeah, we just felt, you know, we needed to recognize her and honor her and having this powwow. And so I talked with John, and he said, well, I don't know anything about powwow. And then I said, well, I've been going since I was 7. And he said, well, you probably are the only one then, because we were already home having kids ourselves when you were off with Mom and them down in Idaho. So that's how we got started. We were, prior to us beginning the powwow, we were honoring our father by hosting the war canoe races, because that's what he did. It was part of his way of life. But, you know, we just wanted to do something to honor our mom, and so now came the Wet'suwet'en Intertribal Powwow. And now we're going into, it's actually, we would have been about 30 years by now, hey? Yeah. And it's just COVID happened and cut us off from the world and world events. But we started back last year. And like Virgil said, Stelly School District 63 was a big part of us being able to do that, because we were coming out of COVID. We had no way to raise money. We had only a few months to put things together, which was almost impossible. And then my brother Virgil and our older brother Tom, we went and met with School District 63, and they were the ones that said, this is what we'll do for you guys. We want the power to come back, and we want to be able to help and support in that way. And so they footed the bill on a building space, you know, and we got free access to everything that was there. We were able to use the field for camping for the people that were coming into town to participate in the powwow. And Virgil's been really, really good at calling in volunteers. And now we've got a whole volunteer crew that he keeps in touch with, and he organizes all of that every year now. So, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's open to the public. It has been ever since we started, and there's no fee to get in. You just show up and hopefully participate in the dancing and buying crafts from the vendors and trying some of our traditional foods. So that's what we're all about.
That's beautiful. That's exciting. I wanted to ask, when you first started the powwow, did you have any problems at the very beginning in person, like versus like today, like we're talking back years ago?
We did. Yes, we did. We were asked to sing at a memorial in the Coast Salish way, but they wanted the big drum there, and some of the people didn't like it right away. And one of our elders, who's passed on now, got up and spoke for us that this family has every right to sing this way. This is their mother's way of life, and they're honoring what the family asked of them. So it wasn't a simple thing to bring forward at the beginning. It was a little bit of kind of a hard to get started because of the people not used to having a powwow in this area. There was an old, he's passed on as well. They used to call him Chief Hummingbird, and that's when she started dancing when she was a little girl. On the canoe race days, they would entertain for the public. Their families, the Paul family, and Albert Paul, who still continues to dance from that family, and he's getting up in age, and he has a very serious health problem. But at times, that culture and the way we dance and sing what we're dancing and singing for, because we're all praying while we're dancing and singing. It's not just about singing, dancing. I carry a special whistle, an eagle whistle, and that's one of the items that I carry that it controls my life on how I'm supposed to carry myself. We're not supposed to be in an angry mood. We're not allowed to get mad. We can't use hateful words or anything. And that was taught to me and my late brother John, who also was a traditional dancer. We were taught by some very wise men from Idaho who are now gone now as well. Our late relatives, Horace Axtell, who was a veteran himself as well. And the historian at the time was late Alan Slickpoo, who helped me and my brother John learn a little more about the Nez Perce way of how we should carry ourselves. So we were taught by a lot of strict men that wanted to make sure that we would carry ourselves right. That's how we're supposed to carry ourselves. Anyone that carries an eagle feather is supposed to be in that way of life, that without living without anger and bitterness. It's because that's what we've always used to send our prayers up when we're powwow dancing. You see a lot of the dancers, when they lift up their eagle feathers, they're lifting up their prayers, and those are also in memory of those who've already gone.
It's a very spiritual.
Yes, it is.
Very spiritual.
Not everyone can carry a whistle. It has to be a part of your way, your family life. Mm-hmm. Not just anybody can say, oh, I'm going to carry a whistle. No. You have to be gifted that whistle, and you have to, well, Muzz went through the whole thing. He could probably even tell you right now.
Yeah, when we had our ceremony for that, there's a drum group that we want to be singing our honor songs when we come into that. And we have some of the older traditional dancers that will dance it in for us, because we're still a new carrier, and so they're doing that for us, blessing it on that first round, and then on the second round we'll go around with it, wearing it ourselves. But the ceremonies we have for that they're not to be recorded, or especially when we're praying, when we're blowing our whistles on a drum. That's not to be recorded in any kind of way, because what we believe is it's interfering with those prayers, because it's very important, those prayers that are sent through those whistles. And it's no different what they taught us about it in the Bible, that only on the wings of an eagle shall your prayers reach the heavens. And our people have always practiced that way of lifting our prayers up through the eagle feather, through powwow dancing. And in the Coast Salish way, we wear them in different ways than how a powwow outfit is. So it's a very, very sacred thing that we do when we're singing, dancing, and sometimes it's very difficult to carry yourself with without anger or bitterness, and just because people sometimes are envious or jealous that, me and my brother made a good name for us where people were asking us to follow each other with our sacred whistles on drums. We want you boys to follow each other, go into that drum and pray for our family. So and a lot of people are starting to learn more and more about it too around this area. There are more younger people starting to come in dancing and singing. So it's starting to grasp back onto our culture, what was taken away from us as children. And now that the powwow circle is starting to get bigger with more dancers and singers, and they're, like I was saying, they're all year round. Kamloops, I think it's weekend after hours, and Swinomish, they just had one just over the border last weekend. But they go on all over the place, and that's one of the things I miss is our old first drum group. We don't travel as much anymore with the younger boys. They take their work habits first. So, but it's quite enlightening once you learn more about it and how spiritual it really is. Wearing eagle feathers, sometimes the spirit of the different animals we use are very powerful when we're dancing. Because I tried dancing old style one time, and at a memorial I danced in a picture, and I tried to dance old style, and it's barely lifting your feet off the ground, but the spirit, they said, oh, look at that, the spirit of that picture I was carrying had him dancing different. And that's what they thought right away. Oh, they said, oh, Rick must have taken over. So it's very, very spiritual what happens, and it's very hard to explain to our people and the non-natives what that spirituality lifts it.
So just one last question. With the powwow, whereabouts is the powwow? And like you said, everybody is welcome. But is there any other stipulations with the powwow?
Well, it's really important that people remember that it's a cultural event and that it's open to everybody to come and participate. They just want to watch, they're welcome, but we encourage them to also try some of our traditional dances. There's, what is that called now? When everybody comes out. Intertribal. Yeah. My mind is not going in the right place today. But everyone's welcome to come out on the dance floor then. And like I said, we are open to the public. It's a free event. It's a family event for all ages. And we have areas where they can sit. Like it's like, because it's in a school, there's those bench seatings. And there's going to be all kinds of vendors there selling all kinds of crafts and their wares. We'll have some of our traditional foods, salmon barbecue and Indian hot dogs, Indian tacos, and more Western fare of hamburgers and hot dogs and whatnot. So we do encourage people to come. And if they're not sure what is supposed to be, what their behavior is supposed to be like, we have an MC. I think Muzz is our MC this year, and he can explain everything to them about protocol and what's allowed and what's not allowed. And to always ask permission from a dancer like Justine, who danced earlier, if it's okay to take her picture. You don't just assume you can do that. It's important to ask the dancer. So we don't want people to be afraid to come, with there's certain kinds of stipulations. They can just talk to Muzz, who will be our MC, and he'll clarify everything for them.
But you said it was a drug-free and alcohol-free event?
Yes, no drugs or alcohol permitted on the grounds. And we've made sure that people really respect the grounds that they're on. We are being allowed to use District 63 school gymnasium for this event, and their kitchens, and we get everything for free, and that's really super helpful. But we want everybody to know that's coming, that this is part of the agreement that we have with the school districts, that everyone respects the grounds.
Yeah, and we'll have to enter you in one of the contests that we involve the the crowd, and it's called the potato dance.
Oh. I'd like to try that.
The potato dance, we'll find you a good partner. And also we have musical chairs as well that will have a contest as well.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and it sounds like something that everybody will benefit from and learn from. You learn a lot about the culture.
Oh yeah, it's quite enlightening once people are approaching us in the proper way, and a lot of them are learning to more respect what the native culture is about and the powwow style of dancing. And as they were saying earlier, my brother Virgil, his artwork's taken him around the world, and some friends that he knows, Sweden, Germany, they come just for our powwow. So it has brought in a lot of people. So
That's great. That's great.
and I find it, it's brought a lot of doubters back to thinking of us in a different way as well, that we're not the people that the news makes us out to be at times. We're all, and like I was saying, we're not allowed to carry anger during our culture, because a lot of it is to do with praying, which we had before contact. So it will be quite enjoyable to see you doing our potato dance this year.
No, I don't know what that is, but I'll certainly give it a try.
We won't describe it. We'll just enter you in it.
And Virgil, I think, was going to bring you our powwow flyer, and I'll
Okay.
have all the information on there for the general public to be aware of where everything's taking place, what time.
Well, you might
and-
want to just say where it is right now. That'd be good.
There was
Virgil?
something else. So he's important to our crew because he's in charge of all the vendors coming
Okay.
and entertainment.
Virgil.
Yeah, so that's my duties in the organizing of the powwow. Is I recruit artists from different areas and volunteers, and also I don't think we're having performers this year, but I also recruit performers to come to our event of different cultures so that we like everybody to see that we're inclusive of everybody. And but you'll be seeing artists of different mediums like knitting, silver carving, the beadwork has come back in such a big way, and prints, drums, all kinds of jewelry, and non-native vendors we'll have there too, people that I've met at other events, but also in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we do invite everybody to our powwow. We want everybody to come and learn, and not to be afraid to ask questions about our event and other things. There will be people from all over, and long story short, we had some people that I met I'm a licensed vendor at the Inner Harbor, and I met some people from Switzerland, and I invited them to our powwow, and I asked them how they got to know about our powwow. They said, well, we went online and looked for powwows, and we found Yellow Wolf Powwow, what was called at the time. And I said, wow. And I said, how many powwows have you guys been to? And they go, this is our first one. So we had people in Switzerland that went online, found our powwow, which is one of the smallest powwows on the planet, and came from Switzerland to visit us here on the island. So that was amazing. And we also have some dear friends in the Brentwood area that have family from Iceland that come here too, and come to enjoy our song and dance and people. So yeah, we welcome everybody.
I think our biggest year was when the Commonwealth Games were going on. Like when we first started, we had like 5 drums. The Commonwealth Games happened, we had 30 drums at our powwow. And if you saw the field that we had to use, you couldn't see the grass for the amount of people that were there. I'm not kidding. It was the most fun weekend we ever had, but the most exhausting weekend we ever had. But we had visitors from all over the world that came to the Commonwealth Games, came out to our powwow in Brentwood, and it was just crazy busy and so much fun. So,
Well, I look forward to going out there. It sounds like it's going to be a very good time, and I know that a lot of the people that are watching will want to come as well.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and,
Well, all three of us too. We taught in different schools. Like, I actually helped a drum group at the university, which were called Standing Nation, and my friend Rob Spade started that, but he had to get permission from his elders because there was all nationalities around the drum, and that's why they called it Standing Nation, bringing all the nations together. And that was a lot of fun teaching them. It's a little bit difficult teaching some of the non-natives, but they got the hang of it.
well, I want to thank all three of you for coming on my program, and I look forward to seeing you at the
for
powwow.
having us.
Well, thank you for having us, and I hope you enjoy the smoked salmon.
I will. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. It's good.